everybody, it's Marie Diemer here and welcome back to my kitchen. Tonight we are having EPICURE's chicken fried rice. If you're not familiar with EPICURE, and maybe some of you are just new to my VIP customer page, EPICURE is a Canadian owned and run company that sells in Canada and in the US, and it's everything that EPICURE makes is 100% gluten-free, 100% nut-free, it's almost salt-free, very sugar-conscious. And it's a way to put fast, healthy meals on your table without it tasting like you're eating healthy, if that makes any sense. So I love the solution packages. EPICURE has a million things. In my case, my website is mariediemer.epicure.com. Feel free to browse out there. If you've not yet found me on Facebook and you're watching this on YouTube, look for me, Marie Diemer, D-I-E-M-E-R /-EPICURE. I'm happy to have you in my EPICURE family. So let's get started. The best part about the solution packages is how fast you can throw a meal together. So I'm going to start stir frying the chicken, which is just 1 pound of chicken chopped up into tiny little stir fry pieces, like that. We chose chicken thighs. You could cut up a chicken breast if that's your preference. So I'm just going to get that started, and I can chit chat with you while the oil gets hot and while the chicken cooks. All you're doing is greasing the bottom of your pan. It says a tablespoon of oil. That's not something that I usually measure, but we want the oil to get hot. So the recipe itself calls for the solution, the EPICURE solution package, and these come in sets of 3 when you're ordering them. The EPICURE solution package with a couple of tablespoons of soy sauce, a couple of tablespoons of water, and 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil. You can get this in most grocery stores. We just get it at our local Metro. So I've got my portable burner here on high. I'm just going to check to see if the oil is hot enough to start cooking the meat. So I've wet my fingers, and if your oil is hot enough to start cooking the meat right away, and you splatter some water in there, it'll start to snap, crackle, and pop. It's just almost there, so I'm going to wait a little bit. If you throw the meat in before the oil is hot, it sits in that oil before it starts to really cook, and then your meat takes on the flavor of the oil, which isn't so rippy to eat later. So it's just now starting to snap and crackle. I'll put this in kind of slowly, take my time. It's there, it's ready. So I've got a pound, like I said, that worked out to about 4 of the boneless, skinless chicken thighs. Just cut them up into small bits, and that'll help it cook fast as well. The slickest part about being able to cook EPICURE is that you can throw a healthy meal on the table, 15-20 minutes, and it tastes like takeout. You know, you're not eating healthy and going, you know, oh, this tastes healthy. I love the recipe solutions. So I've got this on high. I'm going to put the lid on. I am using my my saute pan, an EPICURE saute pan, which I love. I like it because it has a nice big round base and high sides on it. So you can put a ton of stuff in here without it boiling over. So I'm going to put the lid on it and talk to you about the rest of the ingredients. You'll notice I just used my 4-cup prep bowl. Here I have the meat in that. I have another 4-cup prep bowl here for some of the other ingredients. So you mix up, the first step we're going to do is mix up our solution package with our liquid. And you're going to let that sit a minute while the chicken cooks. So it calls for 2 tablespoons of water, like that. Can you see this? You can. I'm going to use my 4-in-1 measuring spoon, all in one place, throw it in the dishwasher. Has a spot for a tablespoon and a teaspoon. If you turn it over, it has a spot for a 1/2 teaspoon. There's a line for a 1/4 teaspoon. And they're thin enough to fit in our spice jars. Use them all the time. I'm embarrassed to tell you how many of these I have on the go. So 2 tablespoons of water, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce of your choice. We usually shoot for lower sodium. tablespoon of sesame oil. You could use the oil of your choice. However, the sesame oil is well worth it in that it gives your dish that nutty flavor that you expect from your Chinese food takeout recipes. So I'm just going to give this meat a little bit of a stir. Stir it up. Your meat probably won't even take 5 minutes. Shouldn't, but this portable burner doesn't get quite as hot as some. That's just been in there a minute or two. 2 tablespoons of water, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, and the chicken fried rice solution seasoning pack. The whole thing. This recipe is so good. So good. It has just recently come back into the current catalog, so I was really pleased with that. You're just going to mix this up like that. As soon as the chicken is done, we are going to add 3 cups of pre-cooked rice, break it up a little bit, make sure it's stir frying, and 4 cups of shredded cabbage. Cook it down for 2 or 3 minutes and your whole meal is done. The cabbage, when it cooks down, with the cooked cabbage, it's not going to be bitter like you might experience with some. It cooks down and it takes the place of a lot of rice. So you're going to put 3 cups of rice in here. You're going to put 4 cups of this in here. So your output is a lot and you don't have as many carbs as if you had a whole plate full of rice with your dinner. So the chicken is almost there. Almost there. I'm just going to leave the lid off, I think, to try and cook down some of that chicken juice. So it calls for 3 cups of pre-cooked rice. When we make rice, we don't have rice all that often, and when we make it, I've yet to learn how to make the right amount. And I like basmati rice, which isn't quite as sticky, and I'm always making too much, and I freeze it. If you do that, this is the perfect opportunity to use up that frozen rice that you had. Now, today happened to be that one time I didn't have any frozen on hand, so I have 3 cups of cooked rice here, excuse me, and I made it in my multi-purpose steamer. I use this steamer, this silicone steamer, all the time. It's most often in my dishwasher. This is the one of all of our siliconeware that I use most often because there's so many different ways you can use it. It comes with a tray, an insert tray, so you can cook different layers of food at the same time. You can cook it in the microwave, you can cook it in the oven, just not on the direct heat that would be a burner. So you want to come up with, how many of you out there have cooked rice and it says don't lift the lid? And after a certain period of time, it's time to take it off the heat and it started to stick because you couldn't see how fast the water was disappearing on it. This has saved my bacon in more than one instance. To cook rice in the microwave, it's 2 to 1. 2 times the water to 1 times the amount of rice you want to cook. This is a steamer. Normally you would cook your foods in the oven or in the microwave with the lid on and the steam seals everything in. You don't want to use the lid when you're cooking rice because the water is going to come to a boil and it's going to throw off all over your microwave. So the trick is, I cooked 1.5 cups of rice today, and I cooked too much. I cooked 1.5 cups of rice to 3 cups of water. You just dump that in the bottom of your steamer. You put the tray over the top of it. That breaks up the water when it's boiling so it doesn't boil over. Don't put the lid on it, and you throw it in your microwave for 15 minutes. You pull it out, fluff it up with a fork, and you're done. It's foolproof. It is so slick. So I use my steamer. You've seen my videos where I use my steamer for all kinds of things. It is really slick for making rice. The chicken is cooked. So to complete this dish, I'm going to put my 3 cups of rice in here. I like basmati. It doesn't clump together the same, but that's kind of the feature I like the best about it. So now we're just going to stir fry up the rice. Obviously it's pre-cooked. I just want to make sure it's getting hot. Like that. And I'm going to add 4 cups of shredded cabbage. And all you have to do is grab a bag of coleslaw from the grocery store. Look, it's about half of one of those grocery store bags of coleslaw. Dump it in. And you'll see what I mean about the high sides on the saute pan. How you can put so much stuff in there. There's a pound of chicken, there's 3 cups of rice, there's 4 cups of cabbage. We're going to add the seasoning mix. Give it a little stir. Dump that in. It does not get much easier than this. I'm just going to stir it up and then I'm going to put the lid on it, cook it for 3 to 5 minutes, and I will come back and show you the finished product. Oh, I love the smell of it. It smells nutty. It's got a little bit of the saltiness from the soy sauce. You can see that the cabbage is already cooking down a little bit. I'm going to put the lid on it now. Excuse me. I'm going to put the lid on it. It's probably going to cook 3 to 5 minutes. I will be back as soon as it's ready to show, like as soon as everything's cooked and I'm ready to lift. So that took just about 3 minutes. Just enough to soften up the cabbage that I had thrown in there because it was raw from the coleslaw bag. As you can see, look at that. We have a dinner. This dinner feeds 4 to 6 people. I'm going to lift it up for you. Take this out of the scope. I'm using my silicone utensils here that are also sold by EPICURE, magically enough. Nothing scratches. They've got a nice scoop on this saute spoon. You can really get a good scoop when you're lifting. I have weakness in my left wrist, so I'm finding sometimes, depending on how full the pan is, I have to rest it a bit. But look at this. So super easy. You're just going to buy some chicken, use up your leftover cooked rice, a bag of coleslaw, your EPICURE seasoning, and you are good to go. Give you a close-up. Look at that. It smells so good. I've been snacking. You know, someone needed to make sure the cabbage was cooked. This is our chicken fried rice. If you're interested in stocking up your pantry, by all means, give me a shout. Thanks again, and we'll be back soon.